manager on as the alternate. And this past year, Claude Beaver was nominated to serve as an alternate for the police commission, and he was not able to make those meetings due to his work schedule. So then we nominated Diane Hollenbach for that position. It is unfortunate if we don't have a unanimous vote on things. Unfortunately, that is the way it does happen. As Mr. Reckline pointed out, it happened quite a bit at the Northern Berks Police Commission, and not exclusively. Obviously, I was able to get some things through, including the internal affairs investigation, but that is sometimes how it is. He can, you know, whether you sitting in the audience, you don't like the end result, that is, this is how government operates. People are elected in positions, and they vote on positions. So, Mr. Rutherford, if you'd like to say something.
Good evening, Joe Rutherford, 283 Longleaf Drive. Just to add some historical perspective. When I was first elected onto the board in 2008 in reorganization, I was very much interested in being a police commissioner. But I have to say that the wisdom of the board at the time was that I served in a voluntary capacity as roadmaster my first year. There's a lot that goes on in the police department. It's a big line item. There's a lot of stuff coming at a new supervisor. And at the time, I was a little disappointed that I wasn't appointed to that. But I think in hindsight, it was a couple years after that I got onto the board on the police commission as an alternate, and then ultimately as the primary delegate, and then back and forth. So when the board matures, having two supervisors sit on the board can be very good. I would just caution the board that as we have a new supervisor that's coming on to the township board, there's a lot going on, there's a lot to learn. It's not as easy as it looks, having sat on that side of the board. And I would just say that sometimes the wisdom might be best if that new supervisor gets a little bit of ground underneath their feet before they take on such a big part of the township. It's our biggest line item, and that would be my only comments, that there are times where supervisors that are elected both have served. Claude and I both served, but it was not my first year as a supervisor. And as I look back on that, it probably was best that I was able to get a little better handle on supervisor before I took on such a large part. So those are my comments and thoughts on that.
I'd like to add something. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And I appreciate you all supporting the Northern Berks Regional Police. Just a little background on me. I spent over 40 years as a police officer, 23 as a police chief. The whole time I worked as a police officer, that I was on the board of supervisors, my first 6-year term, I did not go on the board as a commissioner for the police department because I felt it would be a conflict of interest. And it probably would have been. I understand law enforcement. I understand from the supervisor side. I understand from the officer side. And I also understand from the chief side. And those are three different sides, because you've got different responsibilities in each position. I also know that we went through hell and trudged through fire till we got the police department back. I do have concerns. I know some of those concerns that were brought out before had to deal with a supervisor on our board. And that was made vocal by many people. Now, whether that was accurate or not, I'm not going to sit here and try to make that a decision. But we did come together. We all had a meeting at Albright College. And we worked and struggled through a whole day of working through issues. One of those issues was that we were going to ask Heidi to step down. And we did. And that was to keep the commission together. Now, I don't want to get to the point where the commission's going to look at this and see us going backward and then ask to dissolve again, and I fear that that's where we're going to head. I hope it doesn't go that way, because we've got one of the best police departments, bar none, in the county. And I got to say that they're better than the department that I was with. Okay? These guys are out there. They're out there 24/7. I couldn't provide 24/7 for all my residents. Okay, I just wasn't able to do that with the finances I had. It costs money to operate a police department. You've got to be able to afford of equipment, manpower, overtime, court time, all that. It comes to a reality check. But it also comes to a reality check that if you know you've got somebody in there that doesn't get along with the other board members, then you don't put that person back in charge again. That's the only
Agreed.
thing I'm saying at this point. I would ask that you reconsider, and that's as far as I can go at this point. I'm one person.
Okay, and I think we need to address some of the allegations you're making.
No.
At the time of.
There's no
allegations.
No,
It's not an allegation.
No,
It's a
excuse me,
statement.
you're out of order. The board is speaking at this point. Whether you like it or not, that's the way it is. You made a couple of inaccurate statements on this.
Nice.
I was not asked to step down. I didn't serve on the board of the Northern Berks Regional Police Commission. So I was never asked to step down. The person that was asked to step down was the Ontalani representative, and he never did that.
You both were asked.
I wasn't, again, I did not serve on the commission last year when this meeting was held at Albright College. So that's an important distinction.
You weren't there.
I'm committed to work.
You weren't at Albright.
I didn't say that. I said, I was not serving on the Northern Berks Regional Police Commission
Didn't have
at
anything
the
to
time
do
of
with
that
that.
meeting, during that, last year at that meeting. So don't keep interrupting me, please. It's important because I am committed to working with whoever the current representatives are. Ontalani has their reorganization too, along with police support. And I've been very professional, and I'm committed to certainly the department and the police chief that we have in place now. He is an incredible chief who's done a very good job bringing a department together that had been somewhat devastated by the previous chief. There were quite a few issues. We had so many grievances. We had over 20 grievances. We had 2 civil rights lawsuits during Chief Brian Horner's tenure, and that was costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's what I was complaining about, the wasteful spending of all of that time and effort and from the taxpayers. The taxpayers are putting all of this, instead of putting the money into officer salaries and benefits and police vehicles and equipment and that sort of thing. So that's what the real issue is here. And a certain number of people sitting in this audience today were supporters of Brian Horner back at that time. And then they disavowed their association with him after he was no longer employed by Northern Berks. I think that's an interesting standpoint from that. I did see one hand in the back. Yes, Mr. Edmund.
One more thing. I watched it. I was there. Dave, I think you know better, maybe you don't, of what you said. The reason everybody was saying Horner and everybody that he conned, and he was good, and everybody that he conned was for Horner and against Heidi, and it was Heidi's the problem, Heidi's the problem, Heidi's the problem, and he kept going. That's everybody was fed that, and people believed it because Brian is an incredibly outgoing, wonderful person, half of him, and the other half isn't that way. You finally got rid of Brian Horner, which showed he was the problem, like Heidi was saying, and she was the only one saying it. And then you say, well, people say on this board that there was a problem with our commission. That's Heidi you're talking about, and she's the reason he's gone. The only reason. I didn't see you making it happen during one of those meetings. She stood up. She manned up and made Horner disappear. She wasn't the problem. She was the voice of reason for 2 years. Don't ever forget that. I saw it. That's it.
All right, we'll have one final comment. Go ahead, and this will be a call for the vote.
There was a lot of conflict in those meetings. I attended many of those meetings. Obviously, I wasn't at Albright, but there were many of meetings, Heidi, that you were asked by the public to step down. Probably the same public that is here today, me being one of them. We are saying to you today, as a majority, I know there's some that aren't in agreement with this, that we are not in agreement as you representing us at the Police Commission, nor Farley. We have somebody who is overqualified for that position, and you are overlooking it so that you can boost your ego to get back in those doors and it is not sitting well. I saw the conflict. I saw that you did not get along with the other members. I don't know who those members are going to be. Maybe they will be all new and different, and maybe things will be just fine, and God, I hope so, because I know you're not going to go back on this decision. But it needs to be said that we do not want either of you to
Okay.
represent us
You've already
at
made
the
that
commission.
comment.
But it's
We have
not
a
getting
motion on
clear.
the
It's
floor.
not getting
No,
through to you.
that's it.
It's not getting through to
We
you.
won the entire room once on public comment.
I didn't get 3 minutes.
We
Can I have the
have,
rest of my 3 minutes?
no, you're done.
No.
We have
Oh.
a motion on the floor.
Your
for
boyfriend,
the
who
Northern Berks
isn't in a township, gets 3 minutes, but a paid resident doesn't?
You forgot the plank holder part.
He stood up 3 or 4 times and he's not in this township.
Plank holder.
You've already
May
had
I-
the
Heidi, may I speak?
comment on it. No, that's enough.
Joe, please
We're gonna
reconsider
call for
and
you. You're out of
withdraw
order.
your second
Call
and
for
nominate
vote.
Dave to be at least the alternate.
You're
Please
out of
reconsider.
order.
Please
No, no,
reconsider,
that's enough.
Joe.
Please
You're out of
reconsider.
order. We're calling for the vote. All in favor?
Nay.
of Joe Farley being nominated to Northern Berks Regional Police Commissioner alternate, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ugh,
Nay.
2 to 1.
you two are a joke.
All right.
Oh, are we really?
Yes.
No.
I don't have the right to vote for myself?
What qualifications do you have? What qualifications do you have over
I don't
Dave?
know a thing
No.
about me,
All
and you
right.
have no right to.
Oh, we know.
This- All right, you guys are out of order.
We know that you drove on asphalt and think you can manage a
You are
road
out
crew.
of order. We need to move on with this meeting. You had your chance to speak. Next, we have the PSATS convention voting delegate.
I'm making a motion to nominate Heidi for the voting delegate.
Sexual harassment.
ATS convention.
That's your baby.
Since there's not going to, I'll second that motion. All right.
Doesn't matter. I'd like to make a motion to nominate Diane Hollenbach.
There's a motion on the floor and seconded. Any further motions?
But it's an open,
Is
it's an
inappropriate.
open for a position. So you open for any number of
Nomination,
nominations.
not just
We
yours.
have a motion on the floor for the position. There's only one position to be filled.
So whoever speaks first gets to do it.
Now we take the vote on who gets appointed to the position.
Yeah,
That's
2 to 1, here we go.
That is the procedure, and we have an
So we
appointment,
use Murphy's Rule one, right?
and we go by that. So,
Speak faster, Dave.
It doesn't matter.
all right, so we have a motion on the floor for PSATS convention voting delegate, for Heidi Fiedler to be the delegate. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Nay.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right. All right, next we have a supervisor's letter requesting health insurance coverage on the agenda. Is there a letter has there been a letter submitted for this coverage? Anybody?
Withdraw the letter.
Okay.
At the
Okay,
moment.
so,
That's for the future.
all right, also, all right, that's been withdrawn.
Never to be
All right.
spoken about again.
Then, next we have, on the agenda, motion to reopen the Maidencreek Township 2022 budget to limit expenditures for the public works salary and fringe benefits. And I would like to include in that motion for capital expenditures to be also included in that.
Okay, I make the motion to open up the budget, 2022 budget.
What are the capital expenditures, if I may ask?
You don't know what capital expenditures are?
No, I'm asking what they
Well, for
are.
review. To review the capital expenditures for the 2022 budget year. All right, you made a motion.
Yes.
I will second that. All right, any other comment? No? All right, then, motion's on the floor. Take the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Nay.
Oh, opposed. All right. Next, we have setting the monthly meeting dates and approving the holiday
Hey,
schedule.
here's something I can agree with. I'll make a motion.
Great, glad to see that. All right, there's been a motion made and seconded to set the monthly meeting dates and approve the holiday schedule. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion. All right, next we have on the agenda to designate a publication for the advertisement of public notices. Is there a motion to designate the Ready Eagle as the publication for the advertisement of legal notices?
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Please call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Motion passes 3-0. All right. Next on the agenda, we have Resolution 1-22. The one that's been proposed has listed Diane Hollenbach as manager and sets compensation. I have a couple.
Motion.
I have a couple of comments before we then. Is there a second? No, there's no second for that motion. There's a couple key points that we have to address at this time. We have a township manager that has worked to undermine this board. In addition, don't interrupt me, sir. In addition to that, there was also evidence of this township manager having paid herself thousands of dollars in unapproved bonuses.
They were approved. They weren't approved by you when
we
you
called for
lived in Lancaster
investigation.
County.
Excuse me.
No, excuse you, there's no excuse.
When we
for that.
called for investigation, you actually opposed it.
I did not oppose it.
Yes, you did.
Sure did.
What did I oppose?
We called for investigation and you actually opposed it.
Oh, I
Said
opposed
you
the
were-
investigation, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because we as a board approved what you were talking about.
There's no evidence of those bonuses being paid.
Joe Rutteraut, were you on the board when we
this
approved
manager.
paying Diane Hollenbach the Christmas bonus?
I'm sure I was on the board. I guess, forgive me for
I'm not sure I understand everything that we're talking about here. I mean, I'm still kind of shocked that we didn't reappoint our township manager. But what is the
It's all
question?
part of a
Okay.
sinister approach.
All right, before you go any further with this,
Yeah.
there's evidence of this township manager paying herself thousands of dollars in unapproved longevity payments. And there is an outside investigation going on at this moment because of this. It's been going on for a number of years, and it's to the detriment of this township. I can't support anybody who considers stealing money from the taxpayers. I don't think that's right, and I think it's a disservice to people in this township. As a result, I will not support Diane Hollenbach being reappointed to township manager of this township. There's more that I have to say. I haven't called for public comment yet. In lieu of not appointing Diane Hollenbach as a township manager, I'm looking to appoint an acting manager of this township. And
I guess Farley?
I've drafted a resolution for that.
Bye, Diane.
Oh, well,
Thank you. Thank you for all you've done. Hopefully we'll continue to do.
I proposed resolution 1-22 that would appoint Caitlin Gruber as the acting manager for this township.
Have you asked her if she wanted that?
I believe she's online.
You better click on
Are you there, Caitlin?
No.
You probably have to do something.
I have to wait till Diane comes
Diane.
back, quick or active.
I don't think Diane's gonna come back to click. She was not approved as a manager,
No.
so what you
So now
doing
we have
here?
nobody.
Why do the job?
You blame her.
Well,
Nope.
we
Now we
have
have
serious-
nobody.
All right, right, okay. We can have public.
That comes from putting
board-
somebody on the board that's from somewhere else and doesn't understand the township.
All right, all right.
All right.
No, we can
Exactly.
discuss the issue.
I am
We're not
discussing
gonna have
the
a
issue.
dialogue with.
How come she doesn't get a right to say anything?
Because I'm not her.
And we don't get a right to say anything
We've
either.
had a
True.
discussion here.
No, we don't have a discussion. We have what you wanna talk about. That's
What
You
it.
didn't allow him to even nominate her. You shut him up right away.
We've had a number of issues here. If you have something to talk about on this issue, go ahead.
Diane Hollenbach has been here many, many years. We have approved for her to get a Christmas bonus. That's what she was getting. Now, you may not like that because you got your claws out for her. You got your claws out for a roadmaster. Anybody you go after, you dig in those talons of yours. And then it's just like the rest of it. It's not fair. It's not fair for you to look at that.
Yeah, what you're saying is.
Who did this
patently not true.
investigation?
It's patently
Who's
not
doing
true.
the investigation?
We asked for
Who is
proof,
doing
and we
the
got no
investigation?
proof from you or
Did you
anybody
report
else
it to
that
the
any of
police?
this was actually
I'm
approved.
telling you, I was
That's what
there.
it was.
And so
Where's
was
the
Claude,
documentation?
and he remembered it.
And where's the documentation?
It's in the minute somewhere.
It's not.
Well-
He asked Diane to produce it, and she cannot produce it. That's the state of the affairs. Because whenever somebody is paid either salary or wages and benefits, it's either covered by a contract, it's covered by resolution, or it's covered by the meeting minutes. And when I asked for that information, she provided to the board, she could not provide anything that indicated any approvals based on either
And she's not
a
here to answer
contract.
that.
Well, it was previously.
Nor would I
asked
ask her
for.
to, because at this point, she should keep her right to remain silent and use it for her attorney, quite honestly.
Well, she has the ability to do whatever she wants to do with that, but
You're
I'm
right.
saying is that from the township perspective, it's really important, and you know this as a former police chief, and as a former police officer.
I
which
know
don't
somebody
think-
does
Which I
something.
don't think you would support anybody stealing from a township.
Absolutely not.
So
Whoa.
the important point here is that.
Stealing.
The important point
Where's
here
your
is that
proof?
whatever compensation is paid out to an employee, it's either covered by a contract, whether it's a union contract, an employment contract, it's covered by a resolution, or it's covered by meeting minutes. And none of that was covered for these longevity payments that have been paid, were paid for a number of years, at least 7 that I know of, without any board approval.
I'm
So-
telling you, there was board approval.
Well,
I was here for it. Just because you
show
weren't.
us where, I've been here for the last 4 years. There wasn't board approval for the last 4 years on
Well, when we
longevity.
pass resolution, when we pass any kind of agreement, does that mean, oh, Heidi's in here now, we can't
You know, you
honor
can
this?
stop with the nonsense here.
Yeah, let's stop with the
You go
nonsense.
with the paperwork, you go with the documentation. If you don't like it, that's your problem with it. But you know as well as anybody, after having served on this board for a number of years, what the procedure is. And the procedure is having the proper paperwork and the documentation, again, whether it's meeting minutes, whether it's a contract, whether it's a resolution, any of those 3. So, do you have any further comment?
Well, I mean, if there's an investigation going on by these detectives, and there's evidence out there, I mean, and, you know, if it's amounting to be, you know, a set of facts, I don't think anybody in this room would want to see our tax money being abused and stolen. I mean, the bottom line is, we have to weed out corruption, and there's got to be honesty and integrity, and no matter what offices we hold here. And I don't want fingers pointing at me, because I might be new here because I got elected. I've held political positions before, including in New Jersey. I was nominated on several accounts to run.
Don't care.
I may not have the experience and knowledge that Heidi and a lot of people here have. I'm just going with what I'm hearing, and I don't have all my facts in line, but I don't want any fingers pointed at me. You know, farly this, farly that. I ran for office because we want to take this country back from the ground up. I love this country. I'm a patriot, and that's why I ran for supervisor, because I wanted to run and start somewhere. I love this country, and I love our police. I have donated countless times to our police department,
the
state
subject right now.
association, our local police. I distributed their signs. I had a relative out in New York that was killed,
I think it's 3 minutes.
a police officer during 9/11. I have family members who served on police forces, including in the CIA and FBI.
We're talking about township
Okay.
supervisor.
We're talking about alleged fraud here. What does this have to do with anything?
Because don't point fingers at me that.
Where is this investigation?
All right.
Has the investigation been concluded?
Detectives.
You're out of
So
order.
you must know something.
Who are these detectives?
Right.
This is not
Your
a
board member speaking has the
2-in-1
opportunity to
team
speak.
here.
Oh, no.
No, yes, it is.
No, it's not.
No.
No, it's not.
No, it's gonna be a
No, this is
2-in-1
not
team. It's gonna be a
politicking. No, we're not
2-in-1
politicking. We're not
That's
doing
what it's
what
gonna be.
somebody else does.
It's always gonna be 2 to 1.
All right. Do you have any other, is that,
No, I don't have no other comments, but
all right.
The public has comment.
All right, well, no, we'll take up, and we're gonna take this by row, and we go to your row, that's gonna be your opportunity to speak, so, first row.
Who's
Go ahead.
paying for this investigation? Who's doing it?
Taxpayers are not paying for it, and I'm not gonna divulge who's actually.
Okay, are they authorized
That's double secret investigation.
government to do this?
Irrelevant then.
Legally allowed to participate within government, to go through government documents?
Are you going to be, are you asking whether
I'm
you're,
asking.
whether you're allowed to?
No, the people you've hired.
Are they
I've
law
not hired
enforcement?
anybody.
You've not hired.
I have not hired anybody.
Well, then
So
where's the
that's all I need
investigation?
to say.
Yeah.
Next, second row.
The only thing that seems to be in question that's been brought up publicly is a holiday bonus payment. There's been no other discussion in any way, shape, or form regarding anything that we have heard specifically for Diane to fail to do her job in any other area. So why don't you just reappoint her to the township manager? And if in fact she has nefariously done these things that you're saying and the investigation ends up leading to that, fire her. And then you can appoint your new secretary, township manager, whatever at that particular point.
Okay, is that your comment?
That's my comment.
Okay, well, the problem is I did bring it up previously. I brought it up in November. I don't think you were here, Mr. Eakin, but I did bring it up. And I brought it up prior to that to the entire board and asked for an explanation. And we're not just talking holiday bonus. I'm talking longevity payments that were made for at least 7 years.
Okay, contractually related issues is what seems to be.
They're outside the contract,
Well,
outside
then,
the
well,
employment contract.
What-
So that,
I'll
no,
agree
just
with
let,
you, it
just
should
let
be
me,
in the contract,
just let me
but I'm
address
not
your
saying
issue.
about anything with the township business is what I'm getting at.
So what?
I'm not hearing any problems with her conducting the township business other than allegedly receiving payments that are outside of her written contract. That's all that's been brought up publicly. I don't know if there's anything else.
Well, that should be more than enough, in my opinion. So that is an issue because, no, and that's what it
Well,
is.
it's not.
Well, that, maybe not for you, but that is, whenever somebody is receiving unauthorized payments that they authorize for themselves, that is a problem. All right, Mr. Chairman.
I have been in this township since right after the dinosaurs walked off. So Diane Hollenbach has been the best manager this township has had in all those years. And we need to keep her and do as Mr. Eakin suggested. If there is something nefarious, there's plenty of time to address that when the time comes and the investigation is complete. Until that time, we don't throw someone under the bus long before they're ever accused of anything.
Right.
We do have innocence before you're proven guilty. That is the mainstay of this country, so let's stick to that.
Dave, you know me a long time. Our Jordy went to school together. And you know I'm a nice guy, I'm a good guy, and I'm an honest guy. And I've been a conservative patriot of the area for many years.
Okay.
And you know that, Dave. And you know I'm not out to hurt anybody.
Well, then don't hurt Diane.
I'm not trying to hurt Diane. I think at this point, it's important that we make a motion to suspend this vote on how we're gonna go with Diane till we see enough evidence.
Well, we need to have an acting manager. I propose that we actually adopt a resolution so that we have an acting manager moving forward because
Diane.
we have to have something.
have one.
He just said not to remove Diane.
I am going to.
Did you listen to him?
I am actually going to make a motion.
The public isn't done speaking.
Well, you're
Because
gonna
they
have,
haven't resolved my motion yet.
Right,
your motion hasn't, what motion is that?
to nominate Diane. He said it before you
Well,
put
it
yours
dies
in.
for lack of a second. There is no second.
Joe, are you gonna second it?
Now we're gonna have a second.
Well, I'm not taking anybody's side.
Oh.
I just want, no, listen, hear me out. I'm making a motion to suspend any judgment or vote on whether Diane should stay or not for now till we come up with something concrete, come up with facts.
All right,
And,
but in the meantime, I think it's, we have to have a new township manager. So I move that we actually adopt resolution number 1-222 that appoints Caitlin Brewer.
No.
As the acting manager.
That's
Okay,
not what
you're out
Joe
of
said.
order. You're out of order. We're speaking at this time. You have to show the respect here so that we can even.
No, you need to show us respect.
You didn't let us finish speaking.
Comment on that.
What about our comments?
You're gonna have a comment as we get.
Yeah, after you vote.
And Joe just said to suspend any decision.
So I ask
Stand up
that
for
you actually
yourself.
second this so that we can have an acting.
Now we have
manager.
a one-person supervisory board.
I think it's important that we have that. And then
Don't persuade me.
No.
You can't make him vote that way.
You said you wouldn't be a puppet, Joe.
I'm not a puppet.
You told me. You told me you would not be her puppet.
I'm not anybody's puppet.
Well, prove it. Prove
We
it.
have to have one person
That
speaking
includes
at a
everybody in
time.
here. When I ran, Eric, I did nothing to hurt anybody, and you know that. I didn't put one damn thing on Facebook or a name next door neighborhood against anybody, and I met you and John at the police department, and we shook hands and we got along, And I told him, let's unify and get along, not attack each other, and may the best man win.